It was nestled 1,400 kilometers away from Ukraine. An untouchable super missile that Ukraine would never be able to find and, even if it did, it would never be able to hit. Putin was confident. Overconfident, in fact. The untouchable weapon was indeed found. And, once it was, Ukraine did what it does best, obliterated it. With the weapon erased, Putin has been left asking himself how Ukraine pulled off the attack when it was never supposed to have long-range capabilities in the first place. Something that Putin thought could never exist just hit Russia hard. Once again, Putin has been proven wrong. We head to the Votkinsk machine building plant, located in Russia's Udmurt Republic, which has already been sanctioned by practically every major Western nation, as well as a few others. The US, UK, Australia, Japan, Ukraine, and Switzerland all have this plant on their sanctions list, as does the European Union. And there's a very good reason why. The plant, which is 1,400 kilometers, or about 870 miles, away from Ukraine, is one of the most important cogs in Russia's missile-making machine. That's why it is located so far away from Ukraine and the rest of Europe. Putin has been trying to hide the plant away, hoping that sheer distance alone would be enough to protect it from being struck as hard by Ukraine's flying sanctions as it has been by more traditional economic sanctions. On February 21st, a report by The Telegraph revealed that this supposedly untouchable plant had become the latest victim of a Ukrainian strike. The outlet reports that Ukraine's General Staff has confirmed an attack on the Votkinsk machine building plant using FP-5 Flamingo drone missile hybrids. The attack, which appears to have devastated the facility, is a strike that Putin never thought would happen and certainly didn't see coming, as we'll explain a little later in the video. But as Ukraine's Flamingo drone missiles flew, the reality was brought home to Russia and the people who live near the untouchable plant. Footage from locals circulated on Russian Telegram channels showed windows shattered in nearby buildings and a huge fire raging, with smoke billowing from the territory of the plant, The Telegraph reports. The regional head of the Udmurt Republic, Alexander Breshelov, was even forced to confirm that Ukraine has struck, which is a rare break from Russia's usual approach of pretending that anything that Ukraine hits was actually just a casualty of drone debris caused by Russia's supposedly stellar air defenses. There was no denying what Ukraine's Flamingos managed to pull off, though. The Votkinsk plant is now in flames. And there are a couple of big reasons why Ukraine targeted this plant, how it has grown and what it makes. On the growth side of things, the Votkinsk plant has managed to expand even when weighed down by sanctions. As the Kiev Independent reveals in its report on Ukraine's strike, the plant is state-owned and has grown massively since Putin launched his Ukraine invasion. Thousands of new workers have been hired, and new buildings have been constructed. Russia has also been able to import advanced machinery to the plant despite sanctions. An investigation conducted by the Kiev Independent found that the likes of China, Belarus, and Taiwan have all sold supplies to the plant which were funneled through third parties to evade sanctions to enable Russia to carry out this expansion. For Ukraine, this was an example of sanctions either not being enforced or not being strong enough to stop Russia from doing what they want to do. So, Ukraine took the situation into its own hands with a weapon that Putin thought would never exist. As for what the plant makes, there's a big reason why locals are reporting that Ukraine specifically targeted two of the plant's workshops. Two reasons, in fact, and they can be summed up with two words: Iskonderem and Oreshnik. The Votkinsk facility is one of Russia's most important, as it produces solid-fuel ballistic missiles. The Telegraph reports that the Iskonderem, which is a short-range ballistic missile system that Russia has used in many of its attacks against Ukraine, is made at the plant. It is also believed that Russia is building the nuclear-capable and hypersonic Oreshnik Mobile Intermediate-Range Ballistic Missile, IRBM, that Putin claims is an unstoppable weapon that can travel at 10 times the speed of sound. Both of these missiles are massive threats to Ukraine. The Iskonderem is road mobile and has a range of up to 500 kilometers, or about 310 miles, according to Missile Defense Advocacy. That means that Russia can launch the missile from inside its own territory or from deep in the rear of the occupied territories of Ukraine. The missile can carry both nuclear and conventional warheads, though Russia has only used the conventional so far in Ukraine. Even so, the 700 kilograms, or about 1,540 pounds, of firepower that can be packed into the Iskonderem is more than enough to do serious damage to whatever it strikes. We saw that on February 21st, which is when the New Voice of Ukraine reported on a Russian attack on Ukraine that included 120 drones and an Iskonderem missile. Though 106 of the 120 drones were neutralized, the Iskonderem struck. Ukraine needs to take this missile out of Russia's arsenal. Taking out the key production facility responsible for making it is the best way to do that. As for Oreshnik, that is even more dangerous than the Iskander-M, assuming you believe the Russian propaganda around the missile. Beyond the claims of this missile being hypersonic to the degree that it can hit Mach 10, it is also estimated to have a range of between 3,505-470 kilometers, or about 2,170 and almost 3,400 miles according to missile threat. Like the Iskander-M, Oreshnik is road mobile and, even at the lower end of its estimated range, would pose a massive threat not only to Ukraine, but also to practically all of Europe. Missile Threat says that Russia's hypersonic weapon can carry 6 MIRV warheads, with each being capable of deploying 6 submunitions for a total of 36 submunitions that could strike with every Oreshnik launch. Russia has used it against Ukraine before, albeit only a handful of times. The most recent of those uses came in January, when they targeted the city of Lviv with an Oreshnik missile after having previously hit Dnipro. Isolated though these launches were, they served as a clear warning to Ukraine that it needed to hit what Putin thought was untouchable. By taking out Oreshnik, Ukraine eliminated one of the biggest threats that Russia has. And now that the Votkinsk factory is burning, it's clear that Ukraine is on a mission to take Oreshnik down at its source. The super missile has been taken down. And we're going to explain why Putin thought that would never happen in just a few minutes. But before we do, the destruction of workshops at Votkinskaya are the only thing that Ukraine managed to achieve in its most recent aerial strikes against Russia. As the Telegraph reports, Ukraine also managed to strike the Neftogorsk gas processing plant, which is based in Russia's Samar region. On top of that, Ukraine also struck against Russian facilities in the occupied portion of Donetsk, scoring direct hits on a drone workshop and a lubricants warehouse. As has been the case with all of Ukraine's long-range strikes, what we see here is Ukraine's strategy of weakening the Russian war machine from the inside. Let's come back to the Votkinsk attack. When providing details about Ukraine's strike, Breshelov would only say that the missile manufacturing plant had been struck by drones. He didn't say what kind and, frankly, he has undersold what Ukraine pulled off on the Udmurt Republic. Picture this: a weapon that combines the stealth and reconnaissance of a drone with the speed and destructive power of a missile. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? Well, it's very real, and it's a game changer on the modern battlefield. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most innovative pieces of military tech to emerge from the conflict in Ukraine, the Flamingo drone missile hybrid. What exactly is this fascinating piece of engineering? The Flamingo, developed by a Ukrainian company, is a revolutionary system. It's not just a drone that can drop a bomb, it's a drone that becomes the bomb. It's designed to loiter, scout, identify a target, and then transform into a high-speed guided projectile to strike with pinpoint accuracy. This dual capability is what makes it so incredibly effective and feared. Let's break down how it works. The Flamingo starts its mission just like a conventional reconnaissance drone. It's launched and can fly for an extended period, using its high-resolution cameras and sensors to survey the battlefield. The operator, often miles away from the danger zone, gets a live video feed, allowing them to search for high-value targets like enemy command posts, air defense systems, or armored vehicles. This reconnaissance phase is crucial. Unlike a traditional missile that's fired at a predetermined coordinate, the Flamingo can hunt for its own targets, adapting to the fluid, ever-changing situation on the ground. Once a target is identified and confirmed, the real magic happens. With the command from the operator, the Flamingo transitions from a loitering drone into a kamikaze weapon. It folds its wings back, reduces its aerodynamic profile, and accelerates dramatically, hurtling towards its target like a guided missile. This transformation is what gives it its name, reminiscent of a flamingo tucking in its legs for streamlined flight. This final dive, or terminal phase, is incredibly difficult to defend against. The high speed and small size make it a nightmare for traditional anti-aircraft systems to track and intercept. The development of the Flamingo wasn't an overnight success. It's the result of rapid, battlefield-driven innovation. Ukrainian engineers faced the urgent need for a weapon that could strike deep behind enemy lines with precision, while also minimizing risk to their own forces. They needed something more flexible than artillery and more cost-effective than large, conventional missiles. The solution was to merge two existing technologies, drones and guided munitions, into a single, lethal package. This is a testament to the ingenuity and adaptability that has characterized much of Ukraine's defense effort. They are literally inventing the future of warfare while defending their country. So, what makes the Flamingo so different from other kamikaze drones we've heard about, like the Switchblade or the Shard? The key distinctions are in its versatility and advanced capabilities. While many loitering munitions are single-use and have a more direct flight path, the Flamingo's design emphasizes its dual-role function. It's a true reconnaissance platform first, with a longer loader time and more sophisticated optics than many of its counterparts. This means it can gather valuable intelligence even if a strike isn't ultimately carried out. If no suitable target is found, some versions can even be recovered and reused, saving precious resources. This return-to-base capability is a significant advantage over many disposable systems. Furthermore, its terminal velocity is exceptionally high. By reconfiguring its shape for the final attack run, it achieves speeds that make interception extremely challenging. Think about it. An air defense system has only seconds to detect, track, and engage a small, fast-moving object. The Flamingo exploits this very narrow window of opportunity, ensuring a much higher probability of a successful strike compared to slower, more conventional drones. The strategic impact of weapons like the Flamingo is profound. They are leveling the playing field in asymmetrical warfare. A relatively low-cost, domestically produced system can now threaten and destroy multi-million-dollar assets. This creates a powerful deterrent and forces adversaries to rethink their entire defensive posture. They can no longer assume that assets located far behind the front lines are safe. Every vehicle, every supply depot, every command center is now a potential target for a loitering eye in the sky. This new reality is forcing militaries around the world to accelerate the development of counter-drone technologies. We are seeing a rapid evolution in electronic warfare systems designed to jam the control signals of drones, as well as kinetic solutions like high-energy lasers and specialized anti-air guns. It's a classic cat-and-mouse game of technological one-upmanship, and the Flamingo is currently one of the most agile mice on the board. The psychological impact on enemy soldiers is also significant. The constant threat of an unseen, unheard enemy that can strike at any moment from above creates immense stress and degrades morale. The quiet hum of a distant drone is no longer just a sign of being watched. It could be the sound of an impending attack. This persistent pressure can disrupt operations, limit movement, and sow fear throughout the ranks. Looking at the broader context, the Flamingo is part of a global trend towards smaller, smarter, and more autonomous weapon systems. The future of conflict is not just about bigger tanks or faster jets. It's about network-centric warfare, where swarms of intelligent drones can coordinate attacks, overwhelm defenses, and provide a comprehensive, real-time picture of the battlefield. The Flamingo is a significant step in that direction. It combines sensing, decision-making, and striking into one efficient platform. As these technologies continue to evolve, we will likely see even more advanced versions. Imagine a Flamingo drone equipped with artificial intelligence. It could potentially be tasked with hunting for a specific type of vehicle in a designated area, identifying it autonomously, and carrying out the strike without direct human intervention in the final moments. This raises important ethical questions, of course, about the role of humans in the loop, questions that policymakers and military leaders worldwide are grappling with right now. But for today, the Flamingo stands as a remarkable example of human ingenuity under pressure. It is a symbol of how a nation can leverage technology and clever design to defend itself against a larger adversary. It's not just a weapon, it's a statement. It proves that innovation can be as powerful as brute force, and that the future of warfare is being written not just in major defense labs, but also in the workshops and battlefields of today. The story of the Flamingo drone missile hybrid is a powerful reminder that the nature of conflict is always changing. The drones of today are not the simple hobbyist gadgets of a decade ago. They are sophisticated, highly effective tools of war. And as Ukraine has demonstrated, the ability to innovate and adapt quickly can mean the difference between victory and defeat. This single weapon system has reshaped tactical calculations and will undoubtedly influence military doctrine for years to come. Thanks so much for watching this deep dive into one of today's most interesting pieces of military tech. It's a complex topic, and we've only just scratched the surface. What are your thoughts on the rise of drone missile hybrids? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this interesting, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content on the cutting edge of technology and defense. We'll see you in the next one.